going on, ISM? Anthony V here, Student Ministries Pastor once again, and we're kicking off a new series. This series is our Christmas series, and it's called Christmas Lights. Now, today's message is going to be relatively short and sweet because it's just introducing you to what this whole series really is about. In week one, in a sense of almost like the Disney movie Let It Go, Let It Glow is the topic of today. Let It Glow. It's a Christmas party after all, and it should be considered a party because it's a very joyous time this season, and it should be a joyous time of season, a time of cheering, a time of giving. And I know sometimes it is times of sorrow, and I know sometimes Christmas season can be hard for us. But I really, really want to emphasize on the fact that this is a celebration. It's a party. I always like to start off with telling stories, and the first story I want to tell, the only story of this message really, is when I was in the Marine Corps, I was invited to this big banquet dinner. Now, I didn't really know what it was about. They just asked if Marines wanted to go to this thing, and it happened to be a good time in my schedule. I didn't have much going on, and so I said, sure, I'll go ahead and do this, right? So I get there, and little did I know, it was like it was a dinner to like celebrate and honor those veterans, those military personnel that had gotten out and had made it big, either in acting in the Hollywood area, real estate, big restaurants. It was a kind of a thing that they had this organization down south that got together, donated a lot of money to help veterans kind of get started, and these people had made it big. And so I got there and I felt a little out of place. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm here. There were actors that I was sitting at the table with a bunch of people that were like big wigs in the real estate business and down in Southern California. There were actors that I knew that I actually saw movies or that were sitting at my table that I sat next to and I talked to, and it was really cool. And then in the midst of all this, I really kind of felt like they treated me like family, like a friend. They were talking about all kinds of stuff that the normal people talk about, that I you always think of these big actors and actresses, they have all these great things they talk about, or what are their conversations? And it was just normal family talk and stuff. And I was sharing stories of my family, and it was just a really, really cool time. And then out of nowhere, one of the major guys that came up, an officer in charge of us, said, hey man, I really need you to lead this whole entire group of 1,000 or more people in the Pledge of Allegiance. And I was like, oh my gosh, how did I get here? This is crazy. Can I even remember all the words of the Pledge of Allegiance? And so here I am, and this is a newer era, right, of smartphones, and I'm checking my smartphone, and okay, I know those words, repeating in my head, and finally it's my chance, and I get up there in front of all these people that I didn't really know, and it was awesome. They treated me like family, like a friend. They were encouraging and cheering me on. You got this, come on, dude. And so I led a whole entire group in the Pledge of Allegiance, and I didn't miss a beat. I remembered every single word, and I did it without my smartphone. And it was cool because I was in this room. I was encouraged and treated like family. I kept wondering to myself, this is so cool. How did I end up here? I mean, I am no way, shape, or form in their social groups of these Hollywood actors. I mean, and real estate moguls and all these people. How did I get here? How did I end up in this room with all these people? And it's crazy. I started to say to myself repeatedly during these conversations during this time, am I really supposed to be here? Or is this some kind of mistake? Like, how did I make it here? How did I even get this invite? Why would these invites even go out to me, a Marine that was not in the social group? I wasn't at the money level they were at. I wasn't at the social level they were at. I showed up because I was invited. And to be honest, it was awesome. I showed up to something that was really, really cool, awesome, something that opened my eyes, literally. I think all this to have a point. I say all this to have a point. Sometimes we get invited to places and it can be a surprise. And I hope that most of all of you have at least felt something like that. Like you get invited somewhere and it's a surprise. You got invited to the popular kid group and it's a surprise. Like, why would I be invited here? You get invited to hang out with somebody that's special or important, or somebody you know, and you're like, wow, how did I get this invite? How am I even here, right? If you've ever felt that way, it's that are you kidding me kind of mentality. Like, are you kidding me? Like, why am I here, right? You get surprised. You get the feelings that like you have a lot in common with some of the people for the very first time. And Christmas is just much like that. See, Christmas is that time when a lot of people from different walks of life had that one thing in common. Are you kidding me? How did I get here? But yet having that same common feeling that everybody somehow belonged. And so I bring that up, and it's crazy because the let it glow Christmas party mentality, the whole kind of bottom line of this message is I want to talk about something that happened thousands of years ago. See, thousands of years ago, Israel was waiting for the Messiah. They were waiting and waiting for the Messiah, and he came. The promise one would come and it would change everything. And even though Jesus wasn't the Messiah king that they had thought he was going to be, he came. The anticipation was built up. Everybody had all these ideas about how it would go down, how the Messiah would show up. They had all these expectations, right? See, everybody had this in their head, and it would all go down in a way that would blow people's minds, in a way that they had no clue how it was going to happen. See, I want to talk about it because everything we know about Jesus, everything we know how Jesus arrived in Israel, how surprising it was, the people that were invited, the whole 9 yards was not what the Jewish people expected. Not even close. And the idea is that the religious leaders and the kings of all time, they had this idea. But it was different. And so this sets us up, and I want to do a quick look into the story. And as we go through these next few weeks, the next 3 weeks, we're going to talk about the story of Jesus, but we're going to break it up in 3 sections. And so I really want to talk about the shepherds right now. And I know we talk about shepherds quite a bit in the Christmas story and whatnot, but it's super important to think about it in this way. See, the shepherds were living in the fields nearby. They were kind of like, they had the lowest of jobs. Like everybody kind of looked down on the shepherds. They didn't have the best of educations at the time. They took care of the sheep. Nobody really wanted those jobs. It was an inherited job from the family. But in the social structure, they were nobodies. They were the guys that took care of the food. And I know that we know how important that is, right? We couldn't do anything without our farmers and those that provide our food. But back then, the shepherds didn't have the best of jobs. And so here we go in Luke 2, 8 through 10. I'm going to read it. We're going to read about how the shepherds were in the fields nearby, keeping watch over their flocks at night. And then an angel of the Lord appeared to them. And the glory of the Lord shone all around him. And they were terrified. They were literally terrified. They were scared to death. But the angel said to them, "Do not be afraid. I bring you good news that will cause great joy for all the people." So once again, Luke 2, 8 through 10. See, next week we're going to jump all over, all the way into the story, and we're going to talk more in depth about it. But for tonight, or for today, I want you to know one thing. The first people that were invited, the first people that were literally invited, got that invite to the birth of the Messiah, to the birth of Jesus, to the birth of our Lord, were the shepherds. People that probably thought, what am I doing here? Am I supposed to be here? They were the first ones to be invited. The 3 wise men, right? The rich kings, they weren't invited. They saw a sign, and they followed that sign and found Jesus. First people that received an invite to Jesus' birth were the lowly of lowlies, the shepherds. To me, that's like an oh wow factor. And in that moment, I can relate and say, oh my gosh, like I kind of felt that way when I was invited to that party. And then I sat at this table with all these people that I had no business being around. Now, most of us don't live around shepherds, and so we don't really know much about that unless you're like some of us that live out in the country and you kind of see what that kind of life looks like. But they weren't important. They were just people, invites from them to go see the Messiah. From God himself, he sent the angels down to invite them specifically. Why is that so important? See, I have no way of knowing for sure why God chose to let them know first. I don't know. I can speculate, but I don't know for certain why God chose the shepherds first to come. But he did. And I do know that he does everything on purpose. He has a reason, a specific reason why he does things. And it's important that we remember that. I can't help but imagine this idea of him making a point that all people are invited. No matter what your social standard is, no matter where you fall on the social ladder, no matter who you are, where you come from, what language you speak, all people are invited. All people. And I think, and I can honestly say that's what that means. I think that's what it means in the studies I've done and the ways I look at the understanding that I have from reading the Bible of how we are all invited. I cannot help but think that is the specific reason why the angels went to the shepherds and invited them first. See, it wasn't about who you were. It wasn't about your social standing. It wasn't about not just the rich are invited, not just the popular, the religious people, not just the athletes, not just the academics, but the shepherds too. All people, and eventually everybody else would be invited, right? From all walks of life, Jesus Christ invited them. Tax collectors and fishermen and academics, doctors, everybody's invited. Criminals on the cross. All that mattered was that they were invited. That was the point. All that matters is that they were invited. So why do we care? Or why do we care in the middle of this Christmas extravaganza and this Christmas celebration, in the middle of everything? Why do we care to bring the point up of everyone's invited? Why is it important? Well, here's why. It's because you're invited and I'm invited. We're all invited. And I don't know what your experiences was in the church, what it's been like before you came maybe to our church or before you watched this message. I have no idea what your experience was of church. It may have been amazing. It may have been horrible. It may have been heartbreaking. It may have been exciting. There could be some bad memories there. And you may have felt excited maybe when your friend invited you to watch this video or to come to our youth or come to our church. But tonight, for some reason, or today when you're watching this, you felt nervous and what was going to happen and what was going on, right? If that's true, it's okay. I want to let you know right here and now, in the beginning of this series, that no matter what you felt in before, no matter how you felt when you first walked in, I want you to walk away from this message knowing that you're invited, knowing that you belong. See, being here in this moment doesn't mean you have to act like somebody else. Believe like everybody else, or leave your brain at the door beginning this message. No. The real you is invited here. The real you is invited to listen to this message. The real you is invited to Impact Community Church and to Impact Student Ministries and Children's Ministries. The real you. Maybe that surprises you. I hope it doesn't. And that's okay. See, Jesus surprised people when he invited those shepherds in the very beginning when they were the first ones to be invited. Jesus surprised people in everything that he did. And I want you to know that you're invited here next week and the following weeks as we kick this series called Christmas Lights Off. It's all about the idea of showing up, being surprised, and seeing for yourself who Jesus Christ is. To know him, to see him, to feel him, to experience him through the community of others. So come back. And like I said, after all, you are invited. You are welcome. And so come back next week and check out the rest of this series and check out all the things that we got going on. Don't forget to check us out on our Instagram and Facebook and all this stuff at Impact Community Church's site and also Impact Student Ministry site. We have a lot of stuff going on. We got the missions trip kicking off, and we're trying to get the team built and the monetary stuff put together, as well as we're really trying to pull off this winter retreat. So if you are a student, 7th to 12th grade, you're interested in coming to winter retreat, don't forget to email me, anthonyv@impact.cc. Don't forget to subscribe below so you can get the updates when the new messages come out. Please email me, text me if you guys have my number, because a lot of you guys do. Don't forget that we are doing our midweeks. We're kicking them off. We had a little bit of a break there, had some personal stuff going on, but now we are back. And so during our midweeks, Tuesday at 7 o'clock on our Zoom, we will resume on there. And then Wednesdays on our midweeks on Zoom, we'll start over at 7 again. So Tuesdays at 7 and Wednesdays at 7. Tuesdays is for 7th through 8th. And Wednesdays is from 9th to 12th. If you don't have the Zoom links, email me once again, anthonyv@impact.cc, so I can get you that information. Once I verify who you are, I'll invite you into that Zoom meeting. You'll get with your leaders, and we'll just have a really good time. We are doing the best we can in the moment. Yes, we are not resuming our in-person midweeks or Sundays. We are still doing gathering space from 9 o'clock or 9:30 and then 11. But that's the church-wide gathering space out on the patio. I will let my students know as soon as we are able to meet back in person. But until then, you guys take care of yourself. You guys stay healthy. Take care of family. Take care of your friends. Take care of each other. Take care of the church. And I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.